What can you tell us about the spaceport?
Well, last week was a very exciting time for commercial space. As you mentioned, it was a dedication ceremony really for the terminal hangar facility at Spaceport America, and it was essentially christened the Virgin Galactic Gateway to Space, and a very impressive new facility and out in the middle of wide open country, just a very beautiful area. And it's all becoming real now. I think people are starting to recognize that that's going to be one of the locations where there's a lot of space activity happening. Our office actually has 8 licensed spaceports within the country right now, and there's a variety of different kinds of facilities depending on the particular objectives of that group. We have sites that are your typical launch site with vertical expendable rockets taking off and heading out over the ocean. And then we have ones that look more like traditional airports with runways so that vehicles can take off and land before and after their space missions. And Spaceport America is going to be a really nice facility, and it's great to see the progress that they're making out there.
What is unique about Spaceport America?
They like to say that they're the first purpose-built spaceport. So unlike some of the other facilities that have their history with the Air Force or with NASA launching expendable rockets to take satellites into orbit, this one really was designed from the get-go as a place for the suborbital space tourism industry, which is just starting to operate in an area that's away from densely populated areas, which is a good thing in terms of safety, and starting with a clean sheet of paper and doing everything right the first time. So it'll be a fantastic experience for those who have an opportunity to fly on the Spaceship Two that Scaled Composites has been building for Richard Branson and his company, and it should be a spectacular experience.
Can you talk about a little bit about the airspace over the spaceport and how its adjacence to White Sands helps, and the fact that there's not much commercial traffic traveling in the area?
That's certainly a good thing. Again, going back historically, typically our space missions have been located at launch sites next to the water so that those rocket launches can take place out over the ocean, and if something goes wrong, then you have someone sitting at the console and push the big red button and make the rocket go boom so that no one on the ground is endangered or hurt by the problem there. Now, that approach doesn't work anymore if you're talking about taking people on board the rocket, so you have to have other kinds of systems.
How long have you been the administrator of the commercial space department?
I've been in the position for about 3 years now, and at the FAA, 8 years in total. I earlier served as the Deputy Associate Administrator. Actually started out my career in the Air Force, having graduated from the United States Air Force Academy, and was an astronautical engineer, worked on space systems, guidance systems for a while, and then had the opportunity to go through the Air Force Test Pilot School out at Edwards Air Force Base as a flight test engineer, which was a very exciting and interesting opportunity. But I had always been interested in space, and after I finished my graduate education at Stanford with a master's and PhD in aeronautics and astronautics, then I had the chance to get back to Houston and work on the space shuttle program for a while, first as an Air Force officer and then as a civilian employee for NASA. And so those experiences have been really helpful to me in my current position, having the Air Force time, the time with NASA on the shuttle program, and then the time in private industry working for Orbital Sciences Corporation. That's really been helpful because we're dealing with all 3 different sectors for the industry now, and they each have their own perspectives and their own challenges as we try to move this country forward in space.